Yeah, I don't think CBC would give me a show as an edgy person like they did with him. For example, I'm returning this medicine to the clinic, not the pharmacy. Dr. H. Garas, Garas, license 58242. Here's the letter, 2nd Avenue Clinic. Patient refuses further medical services from first assigned medical practitioner based on failures in morals and ethics. April 30th, 2026. Dear 2nd Avenue Medical Clinic, after waiting for so long for a doctor through Northern Health, with whom I have cataloged various failures that further compromised my health, as based on the Hippocratical oath. I think it's wrong, I should correct that. Hippocratical oath? It is with sadness that I inform you that I cannot ignore any more red flags from my new family doctor, Dr. Garris. Yesterday was a deadline that I had set as a last resort in order to give your clinic, Dr. Garris, maximum opportunities to demonstrate patient-centeredness. With this letter, I also returned the blood pressure medicine that I do or want to be taking, but not without being under the care of a patient-centered, in brackets, patient-focused, family doctor or nurse practitioner. If your clinic wishes to be given a second opportunity before I contact 811 for another medical practitioner, one willing to be more accountable in the delivery of their services, then I can give your clinic another chance and then come back in so as to retrieve this medicine of mine that is now in your care. If it cannot, then I will come back so as to retrieve this medicine of mine and also to receive a refund for the commercial driving medical form as well. I met somebody today who they're flying in people. I've offered myself to that, or they're flying in people instead of hiring me for class 4. I said to this driver, again, I've approached this organization many times and its drivers. I said, but they can't deviate from the norm, right? Capitalism makes people inflexible, or they can't deviate from the norm of, let's say, full-time this way, or these kind of shifts. I said it's only part-time, be very clear. Back to the letter. I will also have with me a storage device so as to collect my virtual health clinic records that were sent to you as per my own request. Note that it's strange that a clinic doesn't ask for that. It's strange. And then you have to suffer from their paranoia assumptions in being self-serving in protecting their own reputation or insurance rates or whatever it is, right? Because they think, oh yeah, I don't know, maybe she doesn't believe I've never been drunk or not on drugs. Aside from other things, living here. Because my answers are different, they must think, oh, it's not that we're Homo community and he's an Homo sapien. It must be he's a drug addict, or he's got mental illness because his answers are different. Note that I offer, free of charge, in brackets, to also come in so as to offer professional development workshops for your staff, which I've been trained to do. And of course, some of them will include discussions about patient privacy and the way their office is set up and the way the conversations can be overheard by everybody. And that's so common. And redneck societies like here, proto-societies like here, it's almost like it's normal. It's almost like it's a norm to do lateral violence or gossiping. It's almost like it's okay. We're supposed to know about everybody else's life. Nobody kind of questions it when they do it. It's pretty redneck. The prescription notepad is now in your court. Okay, and then my full name and my email. And I'm returning the medicine, and then I'll go to the pharmacy to return the blood pressure machine, because I will not jump through hoops that cost me more in time and maybe in money expenses to get refunded or that covered, right? And that's capitalism for you. Employed people who are supposed to have files on the vulnerable sector, but who don't even want to have caseworkers, this ministry anymore, for people, will be making money if I need anything as a vulnerable. I'm not going to do that. And their unions are supported in this way too. Nope, I'm not going to support you. If you don't understand the concept of being a public servant to the vulnerable sector, even if your family members are in there as some of your clients, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna jump through hoops again. So what I'll do is once in a while, if I do get on this blood pressure medicine, once in a while I will check it out when I'm at one of the two places I hear have them, like Shoppers or Safeway. Another thing I'll do when I bring, if I get a new doctor from that clinic or nurse practitioner, is I'll write a letter to be very clear. I've had bad experiences. This is what it looks like for a doctor that's patient-centered. It must be very clear that I am part of the medical team of myself as a patient. If you can't grasp that, and if you don't have enough time to get to know a person, because shame on you that they prefer to assume something's wrong with me when my life is transparently posted online, right? And they have so little amount of time to figure out somebody's holistic self, and to just say, no, we're going to do it my way. And even though you can prove this, let's just do it my way. You mean if I provide evidence and data? It's the same thing. If I go to court and eventually I present so much evidence and the judge finds my case so out of the norm, in a way, they're going to ignore evidence. And then you have to take the judge to court for another judge to get that judge to explain, why did you discard all that evidence? Oh, this was an open and shut case. This person's like this. And I simplified it in the way that meets cultural patterns, and it was an easy judgment. But what about the evidence? What about my medical file, to a doctor? What about the truth? Who knows my body more than me? Especially if I haven't had a regular doctor for a decade. People don't want to find out. For me, quality of life is a lot related to, let's call it irritable bowel syndrome. So if a doctor can't focus on that, and so far we see Northern Health don't have any specialists, whether they call themselves so or not, or doctors who are willing to spend enough time to do the problem-solving procedure over time with a patient to really find out with the right kind of tests that may or may not even exist in Canada, or they may not even want to do because it's outside the norm. Tests like, blood vessels that feed organs, for example, if some are malformed or missing or things like this, right? Because sometimes you say, oh, it's a genetic problem. Well, what does that mean, genetics? You think it can only be solved with, gene-related therapy? No. Just find out maybe in somebody's family pattern, a particular organ miscommunicates hormones in a certain way, or blood vessels, or the size of this one is not compatible with the size of this one, and eventually over time, if you don't want to find out how to improve my quality of life and all you're thinking is longevity, you're not a good fit for a doctor for me. So it'll have to be explained in a few ways in a letter that I'll keep, again, no more than a page. And I'll put the scale questions on that letter, maybe on the second page. Say, where are you here? Because these scale questions, just like the questions I asked in my research about Earth Day here, are very specific to find out particular thinking patterns and personality types of those asked. And again, you don't want a personality type that is self-serving in your doctor or anybody else in roles that relate to serving the public. So that's the way it is. And, I filmed a short vlog on the topic of what's still happening in Gaza and this White Caps or whatever team. And really what I would call this is I would call it, okay, there's a phone number I don't totally recognize. Could it be that this letter that I'm delivering today, but that was written yesterday, and the deadline that I gave the doctor, which there's a recording of, just like this, of her talking to me and me talking to her, in a way you can see my professionalism. I try not to be confrontational, and you see me not at all confrontational with people that I should have been confrontational with based on what I know of them in the Earth Day interviews. But I can show you, I can collaborate, I can show you many times. And if you, the common denominator that I'm mostly confrontational is that you are not public servants, right? You don't cater to who you're supposed to, like the vulnerable sector, like the youth, whatever it is. So if that call I didn't recognize is not that person, I will, the specialist she referred me to before filling out the commercial form, which might go way past my driving license renewal. That means I'd have to, but again, I only ask to find out what the length of time is, or to get an appointment, because then I could decide, if I'll stay with them. But when you don't get that information and you ask for it, and it's not that hard for doctors to get or their administrative staff talking to other administrative staff, then again, how am I supposed to not say bullshit, 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 bullshit every time they say, oh no, we're very patient focused or centered or whatever that means? You know, like, whoo-hoo, I'm going to give you an offer of free workshops. If you don't take it, woo-hoo, it's free. You need it. It's not just for my benefit, but for you and your patients. Then, woo-hoo, that's the way it is. So I'll finish up with the vlog that I did this morning. The title could be, Never Again, says the species I share DNA with, will we engage in genocide or gladiator type enslavements without maximizing our profits. And really, that's what it is. It's really that sick. The tipping points, the social momentums can be fixed. And if I don't pay 3 times, like international students do, for a master's or a PhD, nobody's going to take me. They might say, oh yeah, we have a certain amount of domestic we'll take, but we need them to be generic, like the best grades, this, they look like this, they're young, you know, they look, whole lives in front of them, there's no ageism at all involved. Not somebody who thinks outside the box based on some of my writing, and which you need, right? You need, because the status quo of social sciences doesn't work, of how you see yourselves as a species, it doesn't work. So yeah, no, we're not going to give you a free scholarship or housing or anything, because advancing the science isn't as important to us as a post-secondary institution of higher learning than it is for us to keep our elite standing, our illusions of who we think we are, and also the bottom line, right, of our institutions. So science is not possible even at master's and PhD levels because of capitalism, and also not possible for healthcare or human rights.